Now we're going to transition to our final category, which is spirituality. And this really is not about beliefs or religion, but it's more about principles and practices that preserve a person's inner peace and helps them to kind of live a life where they feel complete. So how do naturopathic therapies, when practiced, make a person feel whole?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the questions that we like to ask as naturopathic doctors, just simply, what do you do each day that makes you happy? And you'll be surprised how many people don't have a good answer to that because they take no time for themselves to incorporate anything in their day that actually makes them happy. And I find so many cases of people who are unhealthy starts from some kind of toxicity in their life that's taking up space for them to be happy, whether it's a draining relationship or a job that they just hate. There's usually something in the life that's just draining them of everything that they have. So it's really, part of what we do as naturopathic doctors to bring that to the patient's attention. Sometimes we find that the root cause of various illnesses is just their lack of happiness. So it's hard, to teach the patient how to find something to do that makes them happy. It's not so easy to just quit a job and find a dream job. It's not so easy. But as long as we can try to bring to the person's attention, hey, maybe I'm not doing what I should be doing. Maybe I do need to make a change, even if it's a small one. So the point is that a patient's happiness and their ability to feel fulfilled is a huge part of their health. It really is. It's probably, in addition to nutrition, the second most important thing is how happy, you feel on a daily basis. How fulfilled do you feel in what you do? So it's an incredibly important part. And when a person comes to a naturopathic physician, we really try to speak to the person on that level. It's not all about their body, but it's also about their mind and their spirit. And even though we can't make them or really hold their hand and force them to find their spiritual path, we at least can bring to their attention how much of an impact that's happening or having on them and how that's actually happening.
Right, right. And do you find that when people implement, like when they start to implement better eating habits, and they start to monitor their stress and start to understand the relationship between kind of stress and anxiety and how they feel, that they start to how I want to frame it, I guess that they find that life is a different look. It feels different to them. You know what I mean?
It does.
Like life doesn't seem the way that it was, even despite the same things going on around them. The fact that they made a few small healthy changes, like life seems to be more bearable.
Yes, I have even noted in my own personal health journey, and I see it with patients, that when you're eating poorly, there seems to be a cloud over the way you think. Everything seems to have a negative spin, and I think a lot of it just comes down to how that food is actually controlling the way your brain is perceiving life events. It just seems to be a curtain over your perception. And I explain it that when you switch to, even if, like you said, a mild change, eating a little bit healthier, a little bit of exercise, it's almost like a curtain is lifted. And the way that you start to interpret the same life events is just so different. I think there's a spiritual component. You're taking better care of yourself. So there's that part of it. I think at the same time, it's also your body can just cope with the stresses of life, the blunt force of the things going on during our day. We're just more powerful. If our body is more nourished, we can fight, we can cope with it. So I think it's both, but it's so true. You just find when people make small changes, their outlook on life, even if nothing else has really changed in their life, the outlook is just so much more positive.
Oh, right. And so, and earlier we talked about just you talked about relaxation, just changing some parts of the dietary component where eating differently helps you to relax. What are some other naturopathic methods that help a person kind of create relaxation? When they're coming down from a day, just ways for them
Yeah.
to kind of find their space and find their happy at the end of a day.
Yeah. Well, probably the simplest that anyone can do anywhere is breathing exercises. I usually recommend what's called the 4 square breathing exercise, where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold your inhale for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold your exhale for 4 seconds. You can picture it like a square. You can do that anytime. You could do that sitting in traffic. You could do that in a meeting at work where someone's really just irritating you. You could do that anywhere. And it really just shifts your brain from a fight or flight response back into that restful mode. That's probably the easiest. I also recommend people doing nice warm Epsom salt baths that night if they are able to, even if it's just a 5-minute soak. Just getting in that nice warm water with the Epsom salts is so relaxing to the muscles. If a person's able to do something like acupuncture, that, even if it's just once every couple of weeks, and start to get the energy moving and help with that relaxation. There's various number of things. Going for a walk, especially when the weather is nice, going outside and just getting away from the bustle of everyday life and just connecting with nature really does make a difference. So whether it's any of those things, finding a part of your day each day to do something along those lines is really important.
Right. And can you just briefly talk about just kind of the relationship between deep breathing and like de-stressing? Because I do deep breathing a lot because it does help me kind of come back to center. Can you talk about the relationship between those two?
Sure. So the most simple way to explain it is just simply getting oxygen to your brain. You'd be surprised how much it makes a difference to have brain in your oxygen, or your oxygen in your brain, right? It's something we take for granted. But a lot of us breathe very shallow. If everyone just kind of looks at their chest, how they're breathing, they're probably breathing very superficially from their chest, not from their belly. And when you're taking a deep, deep breath, if you look at the way children breathe when they're in their most relaxed state, they are breathing from their stomach, because children usually breathe right before they become stressed out adults. Adults, we tend to breathe superficial in our chest. We hold it all up tight. So first, by just breathing more deeply from the belly, you're getting more oxygen into your system, delivering more oxygen to your brain. That's a good thing. Secondly, it changes your nervous system. When you take a deep breath, it shifts your nervous system away from fight or flight, which is your stress response. And when you take these deep breaths, it stimulates a different part of your nervous system that is the rest and digest. It's the opposite of fight or flight. And you can make that switch just simply by doing the deep breathing. So you want to just focus on your breath, focus on keeping your feet on the ground, and really try to breathe deep from the belly. And it does make a big difference.
Wow. It's amazing how these small, like just the smallest changes can affect our entire quality of life.
Right.
Now,
Simple things.
it is. It's always the simple things. Now, as we wrap up, can you talk to me or just talk to our audience about the benefits of naturopathic medicine, how, what it is and how they can get in contact with naturopathic doctors?
Sure. So naturopathic medicine, in essence, it's people who have been trained as doctors. We're trained as primary care doctors, but instead of being trained to use pharmaceuticals as the first line, we are trained to use diet, exercise, and supplements as the first line. So we therefore do see people for a whole range of health complaints. Many times we're able to work in conjunction with people's regular medical doctors, because people can certainly continue taking their prescriptions while they see a naturopathic doctor. But the benefit is that a naturopathic doctor can really help you get to the root cause, definitely help to prevent other health problems, really try to see what kind of diet, what kind of supplements can help to improve whatever condition it is you're dealing with. And if you're already healthy, a naturopathic doctor can really help with the prevention of diseases that might be in your family or things you might be at risk for. So the benefit is that we look at a person as a whole person. We don't just look at the person, as just a heart or just a brain, as the cardiologists and neurologists do. We look at you as a whole person and really try to figure out where the health issue is stemming from. Is it stress? Is it poor diet? Is it a deficiency in something? So that's really the major benefit. Naturopathic doctors practice in many different states. So you can go to a website called naturopathic.org, and you can look for naturopathic doctor in your area. And you can just type in your zip code and you can find a licensed naturopathic doctor in your area.
Awesome. And so for our audience listening, if they wanted to get in touch with you to ask you any additional questions, how can they do that?
Sure. So I am available. Probably the easiest way is to go onto my Facebook page. So Facebook is facebook.com, and then it's / Dr. Kim Sanders, ND. This is in naturopathic doctor. So facebook.com / Dr. Kim Sanders, ND. Or they can always give our office a call at 203-806-5138.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today on the Therapist podcast, Dr. Sanders.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this session of TheraFit. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, holisticfamilysolutions.com, to your friends and colleagues. Be sure to check out the archive section of our website for previous podcasts. This has been an HFS production. Join us next time for another edition of TheraFit.